morning. Today we're going to look over this new Argo Outfitter that we've got set up with a brand new Alumilite armor cab. So we're going to spend some time talking a little bit about the machine and then the cab itself. I think that you're going to find some things pretty interesting on this machine. First of all, the Outfitter is part of Argo's Conquest line. It's still part of the recreational series, but it's kind of the top end of what they sell. I've done a video before on the Aurora series, and a couple of key differences between this and the Aurora is really just about capability and capacity. Argo dealers describe, I think I've heard it described as the difference between maybe a half-ton pickup and a full-ton pickup. And this particular machine has significantly stronger oil bath axles with just massive drive chains. And one of the things that particularly relates to the cab, other than the size of the vehicle, which this is about 5 or 6 inches wider than an Argo Aurora, is that the entire circumference of the machine has a steel frame around it, where the Aurora was set up and we set the cab essentially on the plastics, which did just fine for the cab. It was stable and did fine, but it did limit what you could put weight-wise on top of the cab. And with the Conquest, you've got a little bit more flexibility that way. And Alumilite has done a really great job of setting up a cab that looks really great and takes advantage of all of these things. So if you come around this way, you'll be able to see that the width of this cab is close to a foot wider than the one that was done for the Aurora. And a lot of that was due to handle, come this way, the way the Outfitter is set up with these seats that kind of hang out over the bucket. So get in so the light will adjust. You'll see these seats sit side and they face each other. And so you're pretty capable of being able to put in 4 adults pretty easily in the back of this cab. And to make that width work, they brought this cab all the way out and then how it tapered it with a really cool kind of an angle up, and it just looks really slick. Now, one of the other things that I mentioned before was the ability to store additional weight on top of the cab. Now, this is a heavier cab than the Aurora cab, just based on the fact that it's size and it's got bigger windows. But some of the key features that were kept were the ability to open this hatch, which makes it much easier to get into the machine. So you can get up and then step in to the machine and then close the hatch when you're ready to close the door. The other really cool thing about it is the ability to get access to this roof rack on the back here. So I can stand up and reach anything in this rack, no problem. So one of the really important things about the design of this cab is that it's set up so that you can either do just the front piece of the cab. Here you can see the separation line of the front cab and the fuel filler and the front doors for your front passengers and the driver situation. And then you can decide whether or not you want to add the rear cab or not. A lot of people, particularly hunters, people that want to be able to have this space open for hauling all of their gear and things like that, but keep it open, especially if they've had a successful hunt and they need to bring that big moose or that big elk back, then you wouldn't put this rear cab on it. And the nice thing about that, first of all, is it allows you to get an enclosure for the driver position for less money, but also just keeps that space open and keeps the weight down. I think that's a really clever design. I like it with the rear setup the way it is, not only for people, but also just for the ability to have the extra cargo up top and be able to haul a little more in it. Now, once we had the cab delivered and installed, we took it in and had my dealer, Western Skies Argo, go through the machine and do a couple of things that I think are quite useful. Right here you can see, sitting up inside the engine bay in the cold air intake, a Webasto heater. that is tapped directly into the fuel tank. Now, we don't use this while we're running the machine. I don't think these are designed for taking the kind of jostling and whatnot, but to like preheat the machine, or if you're out sitting on the ice fishing, you can run this heater and then it's vented where I can choose how much heat is going into the front cab versus the rear cab. And I think that makes for a really nice setup for being able to get in and enjoy the machine even in the really cold temperatures. That will run whether the machine is running or not, which is, again, a pretty cool little feature that Western Skies was able to do. Now, the Outfitter comes with this really hefty rack up front and this bumper and brush guard, and even this winch. This is a 4,500 pound winch that comes with the Outfitter in the Conquest line. And then Western Skies has added some lighting for me, some dome lighting inside the cab. That doesn't come with the cab. It's something that you'll need to have wired up. I just use rock lights, and then we placed a couple of rock lights here. I'll include some nighttime video shots so you can kind of see how those all work. But really, I just think it's pretty cool the way these cabs are designed to allow even a big guy to get up and not have to do gymnastics to get into the cab and sit down and enjoy the space that's in here. And if you kind of take a look, one of the things about this is that, I mean, the edge of the cab of the bar is right down in here, and because they've widened this cab to fit those rear seats, it makes a lot of shoulder room. I mean, I could probably fit 3 reasonable sized adults across the front of this, and 2 at least my size in here, and be completely comfortable. Now the windows are set up so that you can slide and leave these windows open to get some airflow. Sometimes I drive with these hatches open to let extra air in as it gets warm. The front window has 2 positions. It'll open like this to just allow a little bit of air to come in. And then you can release these like this and let the whole window sit up like that. And I've driven like that before when it's warm outside, and I'm not bothered by that. Now, since there is a separation in the cab, you'll see there's this back piece of aluminum that is set up here. And so we've set it up so we actually have it. This is a completely removable window. I can take the whole window out, or we can slide open the middle section and be able to have access and chat with the passengers behind. But what I've also found is that they like it warmer than I do. And so keeping it closed up like that, warm up that back cab, and then I can drive and not cook myself out with the amount of heat that they want to have. And these are the controls for the Webasto heater right here. You'll see that if I turn this up to that will now start to run heat, and then Western Skies set this up so I've got all my heat up front with this pushed in. If I pull it back, it pushes all the heat to the back, and somewhere in the middle I can kind of control how much heat I'm getting through the cab. I think that's about all I can see just talking about it. Let's go ahead and take it for a ride.